This video will describe simple spellout rules. We call them simple, meaning that they add just one morpheme. If you want to write a rule that adds multiple morphemes, then you would select a table rule. But this video will talk about simple spellout rules that add just one morpheme. To do this, I'd first like to add a new form. Let's call this third singular present. And let's write a rule. We won't use Grammar Wizard this time. We'll write a rule ourselves that adds the suffix s to the stem. We'll make this a suffix. The suffix will be s. We'll call it third singular present. So we see the third singular present s at the end of each stem. Let's make it a prefix. If we change this rule from suffix to prefix, we're going to have to supply the tag. I'm going to copy that. Now we see that the prefix is at the beginning of each word. If we want to make this an infix, for an infix we have to tell the rule where to insert the infix. We have three options. We can put a positive number here. If we put a positive 2, for example, the infix will be inserted after the second character from the beginning of the word. If we insert a negative 2, it would be inserted after the second character from the end of the word. Or we can put in a marker, for example, an asterisk. Let's take each of these one at a time. So we'll say the infix goes after the second character from the beginning of the word. And we see now there are 2 characters and then this infix and then the rest of the word. Let's edit this rule. Let's make the infix more noticeable. This time, let's say it goes after the first character from the end of the word. So we'll put in a -1. Now we see there's 1 character over here, and then our infix, and then the rest of the stem. Now the third option is the infix might not go always 2 characters from the beginning or 3 characters from the end or somewhere. So you might want to insert a marker into the word. If you want the infix to go into the marker, the position of the marker, then you'll need to put the markers in your stems. So let's say, let's edit this word. Let's say for this stem, the infix goes right there. For this stem, the infix goes right there. And we won't put markers into the rest. So now you see, wherever we put the marker is replaced by the infix, the saw. Okay. Another option is if the infixes go in different places, then you can just make them all suppletive and just type them in here. Let's get rid of these markers. Okay, so instead of an infix, let's make this a circumfix. So a circumfix has 2 parts, a prefix, let's say AB, and a suffix, XY. And now we'll see that there's an AB, and then the stem, and then the suffix part of the circumfix. Let's change the rule again. Let's say it adds a word. Let's say it adds the word ABC. It'll add the word to the stem. So now there's a separate word, ABC, plus the stem. the phrase structure rules will determine where this word is positioned. And there's one more option. Instead of adding word, let's say a new translation. Now this doesn't really make sense here. Let's say this rule only applies to certain words. Let's say it applies to the words eat and see. So we put eat and see into the trigger word. So now eat and see have this new translation and the other words are blank because there aren't any rules for the other words. Let's change this again. We can say these two words are excluded. So now all the words except eat and see will trigger this rule. Okay? Let's say, to remove words from this trigger word list, you select them again. So we'll say eat, and now eat is removed. If we select see again, see is removed. And we'll uncheck this. Let's say this word, this rule, let's say it'll add the word ABC only to verbs that are transitive. Okay, I've added a feature to these verbs indicating which ones are transitive, which ones are intransitive, and which ones are ditransitive. So now this will apply only to the transitive verbs. So we see this extra word. Let's add another rule. This will be add word XYZ. This time we'll select intransitive verbs. So there we see that. And again, it'll be the phrase structure rule that decides where this new word, this XYZ or ABC, should be positioned within the verb phrase.